I started City Girl Savings back in 2015, and while I didn't go full-time with running the business until 2021, I've had women working for me long before I went full-time. I always had the intention of hosting a team retreat, but the timing was never right. And in 2024, I declared there would never be a perfect time. So I made the decision to get our dates on the calendar. I reached out to the CGS team via Slack to confirm the dates nearly 8 months out. And by the end of December, I received final RSVPs and started booking everything. In this episode, I'm sharing a behind-the-scenes look at the first ever City Girl Savings Team Retreat and how the overall weekend together went.
Hey there, I'm Raya Reeves, and over a decade ago, I turned my life around through budgeting. I went from being an overspender deep in credit card debt to being the founder and full-time money coach of City Girl Savings. Now, I help women work towards their dream life and tap into their financial power one budget at a time. I fully believe you can live a life you love with a budget, and I'm living proof. The weekly City Girl Savings podcast focuses on the intersection of money and the City Girl lifestyle. Join me every week along with some special guests as I share my experiences, advice, and guidance on navigating life and money as an experience-loving millennial.
So at the beginning of June 2025, myself and the 4 other members of the City Girl Savings team ventured out to Palm Springs for our first ever team retreat. Now, not only was this our first team retreat, but it was the first time we all met in person. 2 of the team members had previously met in person, and I had met another team member way early on. We actually were friends from college, but this was the first time we were all actually meeting in person together. And in case you don't remember, the City Girl Savings team consists of myself as the founder and finance coach of the business, Taylor, Lena, Brittany, and Marielle. No doubt you've seen most of us active in the City Girl Savings Facebook group. You can learn more about myself and each of the other team members' roles in City Girl Savings podcast episode number 77, Behind the Scenes of the CGS Team. So if you're curious to know what everybody does on the team, definitely check out that episode. I will be sure to link it in the show notes. But getting back to the team retreat and preparations for it, being the Virgo that I am, you can imagine that our weekend itinerary was stacked, okay? And I actually put together a very beautifully crafted itinerary for the team just so they had an idea of what we would be doing so they know what to wear, what to pack, all of that good stuff. And my itinerary included dates, times, locations, and like I said, it was stacked. So we actually stayed at my place in Palm Springs, and I flew out there a few days early and left a few days late because I actually needed to check on things after a busy Airbnb season. So not only did I need to get there and just make sure everything looked accordingly and all was good in preparation for the girls coming, but I left a few days later because I had to leave the place ready for future Airbnb or Vrbo guests. So I had spent a little extra time in Palm Springs just for the sake of getting things prepped for the Airbnb. But we stayed there. Everyone arrived on a Friday. Some ladies arrived by plane into the Palm Springs International Airport, and others drove in as they were local to California. So 2 team members drove in and 2 team members flew in. And then obviously I myself flew in a few days earlier. So everyone got in on Friday sometime between 12 and 4. So we were kind of just all hanging out, chatting, getting to know each other until the last girl came in. Friday was really an ease into the retreat kind of day. I didn't want to make it too activity heavy or do too much because traveling is a lot. So as I mentioned, everyone arrived by about 4 p.m. And then we all got to just chill, chat, and relax a little bit until it was time to go to dinner. And I chose Booze Hounds in Palm Springs as our first dinner spot. So I had previously been to Booze Hounds before in Palm Springs on a trip with my fiance maybe a year earlier, but the vibe of this place is so darn cute. And just the location, there's a mountain like right behind it. It was very Palm Springs-esque. So I feel like it was a perfect place for us to have our first team dinner. And so we went, all had a good time, appetizers, cocktails and mocktails, and just good conversation. So it was a great time. After dinner, we ended up going back to the house to just get to know each other even more so on a more relaxed scale since we were at home. We got to undress and all that good stuff. And we ended up playing a game of icebreaker Jenga. So each Jenga block had a thought-provoking question on it. And so every time, it was a person's turn, they would pull the Jenga block and answer the question. And I think it definitely helped all of us get deeper insight into just who we are as people, how each of us thinks, how we see life, how we view relationships, time, goals, and more. It was a very good activity, and it really did help break the ice. We've all interacted before, but I don't think we've done so in such a personal manner. So I think it was a great experience. Now, I don't know if this will come as a surprise to anyone or not, but I was actually the first one asleep. Friends and family who know me understand this. I am the kind of person who I just can't stay awake when the sleepiness takes over. Obviously, if I'm out, I'll stay up. But like if I'm home or, on a couch or just kind of comfortable and I'm tired and that wave of sleepiness hits me, I'm out. So I was the first one asleep. We were all talking and I just was slowly inching my way to laying down. I did wake up to conversations of Teen Mom, and so I chimed in there, but it didn't last long before I was completely out. Now, we actually had to be up pretty early on Saturday because I had a surprise activity planned that actually required us to be there 10 minutes before 9 a.m. But me being the iced coffee queen that I am, I had to make sure myself and the City Girl Savings team had some fuel for this activity. So we had to be up even earlier to stop by one of my favorite coffee shops in Palm Springs, which is Cafe La Jefa. It is so good. The ingredients, everything that they use to make coffees, and the aesthetic, so adorable. So if you're in Palm Springs, definitely check out Cafe La Jefa.
Are you loving this episode so far? Well, the money and life level up conversations never end in the City Girl Savings community. Visit citygirlsavings.com for instant access to resources that help you budget, level up your money mindset, and so much more. And make sure you stay up to date with CGS by following us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at City Girl Savings.
So we grabbed our coffee and made our way to the Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. So this was the surprise activity. And if you are ever in the area, I highly recommend it. It's basically a tram that takes you up into the mountains of San Jacinto Park. And the elevation is 8,516. So, you're going up this tram for a good minute. We ended up taking a group photo at the top. And, you're in the desert when you're in Palm Springs, but when you're up in the mountains, the air is fresh and crisp and easily 20 degrees cooler. It's just different up there. And while some of the ladies were afraid of heights, everyone participated, and we were all just happy to be up there in the mountains. I think the breeze, the trees, the scenery, the smell of pine, it was all amazing. And we also got to spend some time just sitting with ourselves and reflecting. So we were all up there as a group, but we also had some solo time, which was nice. So after I took the ladies to the tram, we went to one of my favorite brunch spots in Palm Springs called Gigi's. It was hot, as you can imagine, but it was definitely a good vibe. There was music playing, there were misters, palm trees everywhere, good food, and good conversations. So after we ate, we ended up going to the escape room. We had about an hour to get our lifeboat before drowning on the Titanic. So our theme for the escape room was the Titanic. And while we did need a few more clues than I think any of us would care to admit, we were able to escape with 4 minutes to spare. And I think we all worked very well together too. Everybody participated and had a hand in us actually escaping. After the escape room, we went back to the house, and with our energy drinks in tow, we had one of the community pools to ourselves for a little while. Unfortunately, we did end up having to share the pool, totally fine. And during our pool time, we were just talking about all the things, getting to know each other, talking about family and past experiences. It was very relaxing and peaceful. And we ended up taking our conversation from the pool to the hot tub, and then we dried off before getting ready to go to dinner. We dined for dinner that night on Saturday at another one of my favorite spots. It's actually called Porta Via, and it's in Palm Desert. Such a vibe. I think we probably enjoyed this restaurant a little bit better than Booze Hounds. Both very cute, but different vibes. And Porta Via is definitely a good one. The food was amazing. After dinner, we walked down the El Paseo Strip. So Porta Via is in downtown Palm Desert, and it's called the Shops at El Paseo. So it's really just like a strip outdoors where you can walk and go into shops and stuff. So we were all pretty full from dinner. So it was nice to get some extra steps in. And I would say by the time we got home, it was probably close to 11 at that point. We were all pretty tired. It was a busy day. We were up early and kind of out and about the entire time. Once again, though, I was the first one asleep, but everyone wasn't far behind me at that point. And then Sunday, we actually had another early morning since it was the last day of the retreat, and it did require some of the ladies to fly back home. I wanted to make sure no one had to eat at the airport. So we went to a local diner called Elmer's Diner for our final group meal. It was a nice ending to a wonderful weekend. We talked about our plans of getting back to work, goals that we're working on, both personal and professional. We talked about conversations to help City Girl Savings grow and foster an even stronger community dynamic. And I would say, all in all, this retreat was definitely one for the books. We all left feeling incredibly grateful and inspired. And we also left feeling closer to each other. I think Zoom meetings will definitely hit differently now that we've all met in person and just know more intimate details of each other's lives. There will definitely be more team retreats in the future. I don't think it's going to take me another 10 years to make sure we have a City Girl Savings team retreat, but I think everything happens when it's supposed to. I think the timing of this retreat was just when it needed to be. I'm very happy and proud of the work that we do, the work that I do, that the team does. And it was such a great experience to be able to show my team members just how much I do value them, and, being able to kind of treat them and take care of them for a weekend so that they can see and feel the appreciation was really nice. I've never done anything like this. So being able to have that experience as a business owner was very fulfilling. I don't think people talk about that when they talk about taking their team on trips or retreats and things like that. And so it was a very wonderful experience and definitely a milestone as a small business owner. So again, super proud of the growth of this company and the ability to be able to treat the team in a place that I love. And, we all had an amazing time. So there you have it, behind the scenes of our very first team retreat. Like I said, it's not going to take me as long to get future retreats on the calendar, especially seeing how effective and fun that this retreat was. So thank you so much for tuning in. There were pictures shared on the City Girl Savings Instagram page. So if you follow at City Girl Savings, you can see some of that. And then I will link to the document I put together for the weekend, the itinerary. I'll link to that in the show notes in case you want to check it out, get some recommendations for future trips or visits to Palm Springs. But thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much for letting me be the money coach in your ear today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the City Girl Savings Podcast and you feel empowered and motivated to take the next step in the journey to your dream life. Remember, if someone like me, a millennial who loves to travel, new experiences, and iced coffees can live a life they love on a budget, you can too.